So the Pokemon Company and Nintendo have officially announced Pokemon Fire Red version and Pokemon Leaf Green version coming on February 27th to the Nintendo Switch 1. There was some confusion early in the morning because the pages just popped up on the coming soon page for the eShop, and people are like, wait a minute, this has not been officially announced yet. I made a whole video on that, and then while I was editing the video, of course, the Pokemon Company comes out with a trailer and with the official reveal and with the Pokemon Presents announcement. So we're going to go over a bunch of stuff here. So the Pokemon Company will release Pokemon Fire Red version and Pokemon Leaf Green version for Switch on February 27th. For $19.99 each, the Pokemon Company has announced. Pre-orders are now available via the Nintendo eShop. Now, in North America, the games will be available in separate English-only, French-only, and Spanish-only SKUs. In PAL, the games will be available in English-only, French-only, Italian-only, German-only, and Spanish-only SKUs. This is because the releases replicate the way the games were originally released and offer no in-game language options. There's also not going to be like online play or anything like that. It's not on the NSO sub either, so there's been a lot of discussion and talk and back and forth whether it should have been on both or one or the other and all of that. And there is going to be Pokemon Home support though, so you can play and train your Pokemon in Pokemon Fire Red version, Leaf Green, and then you can transfer that to Pokemon Home. Then you can transfer from Pokemon Home to the other games that are supported. So there is that. Now here's a snapshot of the different territories and regions and then the languages they'll be available in. So based on that, you're gonna have to purchase the one that you want in terms of the language. So here's an overview of the games. If you've never played them, here's what these games are about. Set off on a grand adventure to become the Pokemon League champion now on Nintendo Switch. Celebrate 30 years of Pokemon with this Nintendo Switch version of the Pokemon Fire Red version game originally released on the Game Boy Advance system. Explore the Kanto region, discover wild Pokemon around every corner, and aim to complete your Pokedex as you battle your way to success. Earn badges as you develop winning strategies to use against each experienced gym leader and uncover amazing secrets in your quest to be the best trainer. This digital exclusive contains the Sevi Islands, where even more Pokemon await. You can also visit the Pokemon Wireless Club to trade, battle, and chat with other players via local wireless. Support for Pokemon Home is also coming soon. You'll be able to bring Pokemon you catch and train to the place where all Pokemon gather. Support for Pokemon Home is coming to Pokemon Fire Red version, and of course it's coming to Leaf Green as well. So it's just interesting because this is something that people kind of saw coming with this. Like, we knew that they were going to do something finally after all of this time. There's going to be something that's coming here with this, and it's even more interesting. I don't think the US is getting this one. They're getting this really cool special physical bundle with the upcoming Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. And the games in there, though, they're download codes. They're not actually real physical games in there. Interesting there. Now let's talk about what people are saying. Some people are saying, I've read online, that the prices are too high for these games, that they should have just been on both of them, NSO and also to where you can purchase them. And yeah, sure, absolutely, that'd be great. I do think that the Pokemon Company doesn't like putting stuff on NSO because of the rewinds and the save scumming and potential duplication. So I think that might be an issue there. I know like Joe Merrick talked about that. He's a big Pokemon guy. So I'm not really sure what the best option would have been. I know that maybe having it a bit cheaper. I know people are talking about how it should have been like $8, or that's how much GBA games were back on like the Wii U, the system that nobody bought, and people still complained about the prices of games on the Virtual Console for the Wii U. I was there, I covered it. But yeah, either way, it's one of those things where if people want it, they can go out there and pick it up. I understand if people don't want to pick it up, they want to do something else like emulation or whatever, you can do that. If you want to play your original copies or repro, or you can do that too. There's a variety of different ways that you can go about it. For me, I did play these games a lot back in the day, but not the Fire Red Leaf Green version. I played the original versions way more with Pokemon Yellow and Pokemon Red and Blue. I played those way more. Fire Red and Leaf Green I did not play as much, and then I got a lot back into Pokemon by around, I would say, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, so 4th gen in like 2007. That's when I got really back into it after I was really hardcore into it earlier, but then my brother erased my save file on accident, so that kind of just like discouraged me because I had thousands upon thousands upon thousands and like 100 plus Pokemon all trained to level 100, and I got discouraged in between that, from like that game to like Pokemon Gold and Silver, then to the Ruby Sapphire, but then I kind of came back when it comes to Pokemon Diamond and Pearl in 2007. So I'm looking forward to probably checking this one out. I'll get Fire Red version and I'll probably play it and just kind of relive some of those memories from back in the day, decades ago at this point. But I'm interested to see what's going to happen here with the Pokemon Presents. I think that's the cool thing because Gen 10 is set to be revealed apparently, but we do have the official announcement of the Pokemon Presents. That's set for February 27th, and it says celebrating 30 years of Pokemon. So the Pokemon Company will host an official Pokemon Presents broadcast on February 27th at 6 a.m. PT, 9 a.m. ET. The company did announce you'll be able to watch it on YouTube in English and in Japanese. I will be doing a live stream of that. That is next Friday as the time that I'm recording, so 1 week from now. I will be doing a live reaction to it. It's bright and early in the morning. We'll probably wake up really early for this one. I'll probably be up 2 hours beforehand and start streaming at least an hour and a half before the show starts, just to get you guys ready. We can go over different predictions. We can talk about what we could potentially see. But yes, Generation 10, the new Pokemon game built for the Nintendo Switch 2, that is supposedly set to be announced at this Pokemon Presents based off the information that's been out there. So we will see what happens with that. I think that should be a lot of fun when it comes to what they're going to be doing there. So what do you guys think about all of this? I know there was a lot. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, so moving on to the next bit of news, we're going to be talking about Nier Automata. We've got the shipments and digital sales, but even more important, a tease for the announcement of the next game, finally in the series here. So let's go ahead and get into that. So total worldwide shipments and digital sales for Nier Automata have exceeded 10 million units, Square Enix has announced. Now, Nier Automata was last reported December 2024 to have reached 9 million units. The game had a staggered launch across the PlayStation 4 starting in February 2017 all the way to the Nintendo Switch 1 in October of 2022. But if you take all of those sales across the years that it's been out and you add them all together, 10 million units plus, which is pretty impressive, especially for this type of game, and by far the most successful Platinum Games title ever made. Platinum Games, their games do not reach up to 10 million units, but to be honest, man, this version of Platinum Games that made this Nier Automata game, it doesn't even really exist to the same degree considering how many people have left the company, stayed, went here, went there. But I do think that this is awesome that they are able to get this many out. And here's the thing, if you look at the celebratory trailer that was released, at the end of it, it teases, quote, Nier Automata to be continued, ... So they've got something that they've been cooking and they've been working on. And I actually had some people reach out to me saying, what's going on with Nier Automata, OJ? Are they going to be doing something? Do you know anything about it? And I was like, yeah, they're going to be working on something. Just wait a little bit longer for an announcement. We've heard rumors about Nier Automata 2 or a second game in the franchise for a while now, but nothing concrete has been built up. But it's been so many years. It's going on a decade of the release of the original game, and it sold really well. There is a financial incentive to make another Nier game, so it really makes sense that they say ... to be continued, and they really build something that can truly surpass the greatness of what Nier Automata was back when that released. It was a very interesting game, high reviewing game. People really liked it. Music was really good. Graphics were good. There's a lot of great aspects about this game, and the story and the replay value and the paths that you can take and what happens with this game was very, very well done. So I do think that they have been taking their time and also have been navigating the situation over at Platinum Games. I don't know what's going to happen with the next one here. I don't know who is going to develop it with Square Enix. Is it going to be Platinum Games again? Are they going to get somebody else? Is it going to be a trio of developers, more than just Platinum Games, Square Enix, and somebody else? We just don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen with this game, but it does seem like it's going to continue, and that would be really good because this game is just such a great franchise. Also, Nier Replicant, they announced that that has sold over 2 million units. That game still needs a Nintendo Switch 2 port. Actually, both of them need Nintendo Switch 2 ports. Nier Automata, it works on the Nintendo Switch 2 now at this point because the Nintendo Switch 1 version had some issues via backwards compatibility, but it doesn't really take advantage of the Nintendo Switch 2 specs to get better frame rate and resolution and all of that. So that would be great if they're able to put out a Nintendo Switch 2 version of Nier Automata and put out for the first time a port of Nier Replicant for the Nintendo Switch 2. So maybe we've got some announcements coming at a Nintendo Direct or at something for those on the Nintendo Switch 2, because it was a crazy announcement when they revealed that Nier Automata was coming to the Nintendo Switch 1. Nobody felt that the Switch 1 could even handle that game, and it handled it, and it had some actual nice results when it comes to the port of the game. Some people even calling it an impossible port. So we'll see what happens with Nier Automata, see if they have the sequel here announced, and hopefully it's Switch 2 alongside other platforms as well. But what do you guys think when it comes to Nier Automata passing 10 million units and the tease for the next game in the series? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, let's discuss what's going down with Bluepoint. Sony has announced that Bluepoint Games, the guys who have made some of the best remasters out there, from the God of War remasters to Uncharted, also remakes of Demon Souls, Shadow of the Colossus, one of the best, if not the best, porting and remake studio in the business. They've completely shut them down about 5 years after they acquired them. So Sony Interactive Entertainment will shut down Demon Souls and Shadow of the Colossus remakes developer Bluepoint Games in March, the company confirmed to Bloomberg. Bluepoint Games was acquired by Sony Interactive Entertainment in September 2021, nearly 1 year after the release of Demon Souls remake. Since then, it served as a co-developer on God of War Ragnarok. While it has not released a new game of its own, an unannounced live service game from Bluepoint Games was canceled in January 2025, which was reportedly a God of War game that began development in 2022. Here is the full recap email from Sony Interactive Entertainment Studio Business Group CEO Herman Holst on the studio's closure via Reset Era. Hello everyone, I wanted to share an important update from the studio business. As I mentioned in the December Town Hall, 2025 had some strong highlights within PlayStation Studios. Ghost of Yotei launched to critical and commercial success, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach further showcased our commitment to narrative excellence, and Helldivers 2 and MLB The Show continue to drive ongoing player engagement and revenue. At the same time, we're operating in an increasingly challenging industry environment. Rising development costs, slowed industry growth, changing player behavior, and broader economic headwinds are making it harder to build games sustainably. To navigate this reality, we need to continue adapting and evolving. We've taken a close look at our business to ensure we're delivering today while still well positioned for the future. As a result, we will be closing Bluepoint Games in March. The decision was not made lightly. Bluepoint is an incredibly talented team, and their technical expertise has delivered exceptional experiences for the PlayStation community. I want to thank everyone at Bluepoint for their creativity, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality. Where possible, we will work to find opportunities for some impacted employees within our global network of studios. While I know this is hard news to hear, I'm confident in the direction we're headed. Creativity, innovation, and building unforgettable experiences for players remain at the heart of PlayStation Studios. We have a robust roadmap for the fiscal year 26 with much to look forward to in the months ahead. Thank you for your hard work and continued support. Best, Herman Holst, CEO, Studio Business Group. So I do think that if you look at all of this, considering what they purchased Bluepoint for, the fact that you guys purchased Bluepoint because they made incredible remakes and remasters and have such great technical expertise on that, and then you don't allow them to do that after the Demon Souls remake. It was 1 year afterwards, and then you put them on a live service game, and then you cancel that live service game, and then you cancel them outright just by shutting down the studio. This is malpractice by Herman Holst and Sony at this point, because you should have actually used them for what they were good for. They were not a live service studio. I'm not sure what's going on with that type of thought process. You should have used them to actually get out the remasters and the remakes that people wanted, instead of using them to make a live service game. What they were good for was making stuff like Shadow of the Colossus, making stuff like Demon's Souls, making stuff like the God of War remasters that they did before on the PS3, or making the Ico remaster like they did on there. They're not good for live service and making these type of games. So to me, that's an anti-consumer move, where you're sitting there and you are announcing that you're buying them, and people are thinking, oh wow, you're buying them, they did great on Demon's Souls, they did great on Shadow of the Colossus, we're going to be getting great remakes and remasters, and then you don't even use them for that, and then you shut them down less than 5 years later after the acquisition. Terrible by Herman Holst and his team, but it is what it is at this point. So what do you guys think about Bluepoint Games being shut down, in addition to everything else that we talked about here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this one here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.